Is this Insert Gaming here with a new video. In this video, I'm going to be going over the leaks and whatnot for my typical leak video for Grand Theft Auto Online, the Chop Shop DLC here. But starting off here, I'm going to go over some lighter stuff for those that might not be the most aware of what a leak is and stuff, but basically leaks are going to be content that will be coming into the game later on for the drip feed, like per usual, whatever. But yeah, for a couple of the smaller, not so leak heavy stuff, Easy Way Out was removed apparently from the interaction menu. Do not feel I remember that one being mentioned in the patch notes, but yeah. You can still do Easy Way Out, you just have to do it through the options menu now. So the redesigned interaction menu did get rid of that option. And then, yeah, weekly challenges were not live, but they were actually put, live and whatnot on December 14th, only a couple days later. So that was something I ended up doing a couple days later, even after the initial release of the Chop Shop DLC. And then that really irritating glitch where you could bypass the jet cannons to get the pre-nerf jet cannons of the previous Android's Mercenaries DLC without call has been patched. That's going to do with the pretty simple stuff that's not necessarily leak stuff. So now into the leak stuff here. Alright, so here, something kind of interesting here. Something to do with the scoping out and finale apparently happened within the same free mode lobby. Somehow, something with that all means no players can mess with you during the finale or the scoping out for whatever reason. However, though, your prep work and then the tasks will be stuff it seems you still have to worry about, like possible griefing and stuff if you are going to be in those public lobbies and whatnot doing them for any reason. Though I'm pretty sure there's not much of a benefit of doing so in a public lobby for that stuff. Career progression for GTA Online apparently can now be tracked from the Rockstar Social Club. So that's something now. Whereas before that was obviously in game for that 9th generation exclusive features. They're going to the first kind of true leak here per se. Apparently with this DLC they added a brand new CJ's outfit called the Mr. Right for some reason here. And that will apparently be unlocked by completing Tier 4 for 30 areas. Damn. Now, when they first released that feature of the San Andreas Mercenaries DLC, there's actually 28 when they first released it. They did add one more with the Chop Shop DLC on day 1, that upped it to 29, so either it's a placeholder for later on, or they're going to be doing some kind of additional tier 4 to get up to 30 in the drip feed as well or something. But if you want CJ's outfit, you're literally going to have to do every single tier 4 basically. Assuming they add a 30th one, of course. So that's going to be for basically the most skilled people in the game on the 9th generation version of the game. Pretty insane stuff there. And for a couple drip feed vehicle robberies, these can actually kind of be seen through mentions on the career progression that I mentioned earlier here, but there's going to be the podium robbery and then the McTony robbery as well. Podium robbery, I'm going to assume, has something to do with the podium vehicle with the casino, and that's what I'm going to guess what a podium robbery would be. And I didn't watch anything on the McTony robbery, but yeah. Maybe a little more on that later on, possibly. Another more interesting feature here By the way, credit for all the stuff for the most part right now goes over to Tez too. Rockstar can apparently allow for claiming stolen vehicles from vehicle robberies as personal vehicles in the future, at least for the drip feed ones, since it does say future robberies after all. Could end up being used if the upcoming podium robbery. Maybe that's another way you might be able to get the podium vehicle instead of having to get it through like the wheel spin. Could be a much more guaranteed way maybe of getting that, which could be something pretty damn cool. There will apparently, of course, be a fee to claim the vehicle, so we'll have to obviously buy the vehicle in that kind of case, but it could be, of course, a much more guaranteed way of getting like the podium vehicle for like an event week. There is also apparently going to be a reduced fee if you own the document forgery office, which is quite funny because that's actually the worst biker business in the game, basically, and like the worst business overall in the game, so that would be a much better use of the document forgery now for the document forgery office. Here was a little look, by the way, of the very first weekly challenge here for completing all 10 waves of survival. Since this is in like tier 4 career progression as well, little tip, stun gun combined with like the assault shotgun, nuclear silo survival, pretty good for that, whether you're doing the weekly challenge or a tier 4 career progression. And then going to Classic Q here a little bit all as well. This will be all the current plates that exist for Grand Theft Auto on here. The ones on the left are just ones that can be used right now, which are like the few from the launch back from 2013 and in the brand new like Ecola and Sprunk vanity plates. On the right here is a bunch of like new ones here, which looks include a North Yankton plate. There's a new Las Venturas plate, it looks like. Liberty City plate. Looks like a Los Santos car meet license plate as well. And like a couple sport team ones, it looks like with Panic and then Pounders. I believe Pounders is definitely also a sport team there. And yeah, another thing they ended up doing, I believe as early as 15th, and I believe Rockstar made like a newswire or something about it on like December 18th. For like Monday, whatever, they ended up releasing the 25th anniversary clothing items, as well as the Knuckle Duster Sport livery for the Itali G2 Stinger TT. So if you have been living under a rock lately or something, they have released the 25th anniversary stuff pretty recently, and if I recall, these actually go until January 3rd from that newswire. For some salvage times here, salvaging with a tow truck with staff will be 48 minutes, without will be 96 minutes. So tow truck salvaging looks like the time's doubled without staff. For some more like hidden numbers here that the game will obviously not be telling you here. And then stolen via vehicle robberies with staff will be 144 minutes, without will be 192 minutes. Not as big of a difference there, but for those that are interested, those are those numbers there. And then for like the third little thing, they kind of released like throughout on like different days and whatnot. I believe this one was out on December 18th, as can kind of be seen here. There's a brand new media stick, it looks like, for like West Coast Classics here. Whether it actually uses the media player or if it somehow expands West Coast Classics, I'm not the most entirely sure, to be quite honest. Maybe just another thing for media player like per usual. And that's going to be it for test 2 here, and any of the other like miscellaneous-ish kind of like Twitters I touched on as well. But for the most part, I was mainly going over like test 2 here. Onto Wild Brick 142 here. This will be going over the drip feed vehicles. Some of the biggest bulk of the drip feed usually here. So, starting off with Legendary Motorsport for the drip feed. Currently in the game right now, there is the Lutian whatever here, and then the Grati Turismo Maggio here as well. So the only new one here that's not currently released for the vehicle website for the Chop Shop DLC here is going to be the Gallivanter Baller STD, which is going to be like the like 5th or 6th version of the like Baller now in the game. So if you like Ballers, then this one could definitely be pretty interesting. I could also maybe see this being a free vehicle possibly as well for the festive times. I'm not 100% on that one though, but still, it is definitely a possibility, I would say. During the contract DLC, for example, they did the Baller ST, I'm pretty sure, as a festive vehicle reward. But the Gallivanter Baller STD will be a $1,715,000 vehicle here. Definitely really liking that pun there they did for that. And I'm not going to be 100% sure on this one, unfortunately, but so far, both vehicles with the Chop Shop DLC that appear in Legendary Motorsport, both the Vapid Lutian and the Grati Turismo Maggio do actually have Imani tech on them. So maybe if they follow the trend, the Baller STD might end up having Imani tech as well. Again, I'm not 100% certain on that, but still. $1,715,000 SCV there. And then going into Warstock here, there's going to be a couple more that will be getting added for Warstock. Cash and carry here. Now, unfortunately, for the most part, it's just going to be some pretty boring Pegasus vehicles that you're probably not going to get that much use out of, let's be real here. Starting off looks to be the Boxville LSDS. And that's going to be $356,250 on a trade price with a $475,000 buy it now price. For the trade price, of course, it's probably going to be involved in like some kind of mission, I would have to definitely imagine. I might have had a little look at like a thumbnail on like another source, or maybe even this exact source for Wild Brick 142 here. Credit goes to them, by the way, if I did not mention yet. Pretty sure I did not. I believe I saw a little thumbnail for one of the two like drip feed robbery things, and it seems like the LSDS one's going to be being used there somewhere. I believe it might have been the podium one. So maybe something tied with like the podium robbery or the McTony, if not, probably. Basically just looking like another version of the Boxville. I believe the regular Boxville actually does have some armor on it, so it's more interesting than I kind of like make it out to be. But some Boxvilles I believe are actually slightly armored, so this one could actually be a little more interesting than you would expect. It is going to be a 6-seater Boxville here, like the usual. Definitely probably, I would not doubt it's more armored than the armored Boxville after all, which is just visually armored. And then next here will be the Benson Cluckenbell variant, it looks like. So it seems it's a brand new version of the Benson with the Cluckenbell like livery and stuff. I imagine it's a new variant and it's not one that's just from 2013 that they're just now going to be putting on the website. I'm not going to be 100% on that, but still. It's a 2-seater. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be very sure if you're going to be able to like open up the back. I believe there is a method where you can like open up the back of the like Bensons and whatnot, so you might be able to definitely be doing something like that, so that could be a little more of an interesting use. Yes, these two are Pegasus vehicles. No need to worry about vehicle space when it comes to Pegasus vehicles. You pretty much have infinite like Pegasus vehicle space in particular, which are the vehicles you spawn at like certain like locations at like certain parking lots and stuff. From Pegasus, obviously. But if I did not say it, it's $513,750 for trade price, and then $685,000 for buy it now price. Once again, it's definitely certainly going to be tied to some kind of like mission thing. Apparently there's going to be like a Cluck and Bell like raid kind of thing, I believe. I'll be talking more about later on for the drip feed. So it's probably going to be tied to that for that trade price. And like per usual, you'll have to complete that kind of stuff as a leader, not as like an associate or like bodyguard or something like that. And yeah, for release order, it pretty much goes as I'm kind of saying it. It goes right to left pretty much. From bottom to top on. For those that do not understand the release order the most. And then there's going to be a new Gauntlet Interceptor, like police vehicle actually as well. This is a whole brand spanking new police vehicle, not one from 2013 as well. This may be one that did actually end up appearing in the first trailer for the next Grand Theft Auto with Grand Theft Auto 6 that they did earlier in the month. There might have been like a civilian Gauntlet, could be like a police version of that one. But for a trade price, it is going to be $4,065,000. Buy it now price of a massive $5,420,000. Which I'm going to have to imagine makes it the most expensive vehicle to DLC for sure. So this one's definitely going to be quite the amount of money here. So do be aware of that. And like other police vehicles, I want to imagine there's going to be some kind of challenge for even the buy it now price as well. All the other police vehicles, there was like a challenge you had to do to be able to even get the buy it now price and not just the trade price like it usually is. So do be kind of aware that it might take a little more effort than your average. It might take a little more effort than your average vehicle just to purchase at all. But probably not too much more effort for a buy it now price at least. But yeah, like recent police vehicles for these two, you can customize it as far as I've heard as well, which does make sense. It's much more simple than like the police riot. However, though, the police vehicles do have to be spawned in like certain special properties. They cannot be done in the Los Santos Customs or like the Los Santos car meet. So if you want like colored, so I would recommend customizing that at like the arena workshop, since then you can get the colored headlights on that. So I recommend storing that at an arena workshop personally. But it's probably in the emergency class, obviously being a police vehicle. It is based on like the Gauntlet, so I do wonder if it's going to have like muscle car wheelies though. I'm going to definitely be wondering on that though. And yeah, there's a certain character I believe that's going to be involved with like the raid thing here as well. So it's, I believe the trade price is going to be somewhat tied to like whatever the Benson Clock and Bell is kind of involved with as well. But maybe like a setup instead of like the main like raid thing or whatever. For the trade price on the Gauntlet Interceptor is what I'm going to be guessing here. And then onto Southern Android Super Autos. By the way, this is the last website, so there's no other website that's going to be having drip feed vehicles. All the drip feed vehicles are going to be on the websites that are going to be on the websites that all the day one vehicles of the updates are on, so no additional websites than the free that already have the vehicles, essentially is what I'm saying. But yes, the Bravado Dorado here. I believe this one was SCV, if I recall right. Pretty massive SCV update this one is. Could possibly be wrong on that. I haven't really looked at the classes too much, but I do remember. Should be able to remember for the most part, though. This one's going to be a $1,375,000 vehicle here. And then it's going to be onto the Albany Cavalcade XL, which is going to be a $1,665,000 vehicle there. That one's definitely certainly an SUV too, especially more so certain on that one. And then next one will be the Class A Impaler SC. That is correct. There is actually going to be a brand new version of the Impaler, another one in addition to the one that actually released on day one of the DLC. The one on day one of the DLC, like the one that was added with the Arena Wars DLC, was like another muscle car. This one, though, is going to actually be a sedan vehicle for the Impaler SZ. So a pretty interesting one with the sedan Impaler there. And then it's going to, last but not least, go to the Knist Terminus there. Knist, quite frankly, I feel does not actually get that many like vehicles when it comes to DLC manufacturer vehicles, so pretty cool in my opinion to be seeing another Knist vehicle here. If I didn't see prices on those last couple of vehicles, by the way, $1,665,000 for the Cavalcade XL, and then $1,280,000 for the Class A Impaler SC there. Yeah, Knist Terminus there, $1,877,500. And that is going to be for the off-road class. So the Knist Terminus is actually going to be the only off-road vehicle, just like how the Class A Impaler SC is the only sedan vehicle. By the way, I just recently looked into the Cavalcade XL here, and it's not looking to be a returning Cavalcade, so that is a brand new Cavalcade. It's not one returning from like the HD universe with like Grand Theft Auto 4 and like episodes from Liberty City or something like that. Figure out, do like a quick little check on that there. So yeah, definitely some pretty interesting vehicles, I feel, for sure, in this DLC. There's ones that are like the only one of its class for the DLC. They're definitely going to be some pretty interesting options. You have the one like drip feed emergency vehicle, for example. Definitely some pretty interesting ones this DLC, I feel personally. And then there's going to be the New Year's gifts there, and then Christmas gifts here as well. Looks like one very major gift you'll be getting for Christmas Day here, for the Christmas gifts here, will be the like snowball grenade launcher. Besides for that, it's kind of looking like just cosmetics. So if I saw a little like image there a little bit, there might not end up actually being a vehicle this time around. I feel usually it's a tradition that they do a vehicle, but maybe they're not going to be doing one. I'm not going to take a full look at that, obviously, but still. And like per usual, your New Year's stuff is just like a bunch of clothing stuff, and then like your full snacks and armor and whatnot. New Year's obviously traditionally much more lighter there. But if they do a free vehicle, I'm assuming it's going to be that Baller STD. Ballers apparently are pretty Christmas themed, like in terms of like the naming and stuff, so kind of would check out. And again, they did a Baller of a contract, so it's quite a possibility. But again, doesn't necessarily look like it's going to be likely. And it's interesting to note as well, the little grenade launcher with the snowballs there will actually have the like recharge feature that like the stun gun has, and like the up and atomizer. And here's going to be a bunch of like special clothes and stuff. Not really want to care to let people see the whole thing here for like another 40 seconds here, so I'm going to be moving on past that though. That's just a little of how that like USB stick from earlier works. And yeah, podium robbery there. Again, I feel it's just a little look of the like Boxville here, so I assume the Boxville is going to be somehow tied to the podium robbery since I am kind of seeing it over here. And yeah, Tony like McTony robbery, whatever here is like that other one. Scope out casino here, yeah, seems to be involved with the podium vehicle at the casino as I would have expected. Scoping out a submarine, it kind of looks like here it seems they'll be doing during the Tony McTony robbery, apparently here. Okay, so that was pretty much everything here. Alright, and then last but not least, I pretty much want to cover floorball here, so credit goes over to like floorball here. But yeah, you will have the help of Officer Vincent Effenberger here to raid a cartel operation for the Clock and Bell factory. Paleto Bay here goes into some of the like trade prices of like the Clock and Bell version of the Benson especially, and yeah, Vincent was the character with like the Diamond Casino Resort and like the Diamond Casino Heist DLC. He was involved with those couple casino DLCs. He was like the security there until he got like fired by like the new ownership that ended up happening with like the Diamond Casino Resort missions. And yeah, the Duggins. Duggins obviously got control of the casino pretty much, as people usually know with the Diamond Casino Heist. So it looks like we will be getting the return of Vincent, see what he's been up to and whatnot. A lot of people really do like Vincent, so I bet a lot of people in the community will definitely be happy with that. Personally, I don't really get what people liked too much about that character, quite honestly, but the more returning characters, the merrier, basically, I say, kind of, basically. And then there's going to be animal photography thing kind of here. As far as I remember looking, it didn't really look like it really had much of a hint on like the rewards or anything, so I'm not going to really like click to show more or anything, like go into the thing where you can see the whole description. It's basically just a description, didn't really seem to mention much about rewards. I imagine there's got to be some kind of reward, like there's no way in hell people are going to do it for like no fucking reward. I'm sure they fucking know that, and plus that's how we get the Kraken submarine basically in like story mode, so it's probably going to be like the one that's in story mode right now. Some 9th generation only like exclusive rewards certainly, since the animals are exclusive to the 9th gen version of the game after all, as Rockstar has said with the PS5, Xbox Series X and S. Looks like there's going to be some brand new snowball death matches, it seems, as well, at least in audio tracks, and maybe just some music that can have themed for like snowball death matches. Might not be suggesting actual snowball death matches though. And then in addition to drift races, it looks like there's actually going to be some drag races that's going to be happening in the drip feed as well. Here it kind of just looks to be like a user created one, but I assume it's kind of just a show off like an example. I don't really expect there to be like a user like created feature. They didn't launch like the drift races, the Rockstar created drift races. They didn't launch like a creator for drift races, I'm pretty sure yet. So like at least at first it's probably going to be like Rockstar created ones only basically. Seems to get some little speedometer there, it's looking like as well. Has stuff to do with like burnouts and that kind of stuff. Just another look at the snowball launcher. It does apparently ragdoll as well, which does kind of make sense. It is like a reskin of the compact like grenade launcher, compact EMP launcher. It's like the third version of like the compact grenade launcher basically now essentially. Obviously the grenade launcher is going to have like more force to it, so it seems it's going to have like some ragdolling capabilities that might have not been shown off the greatest earlier when I went over it a little earlier or whatever. So it seems much more guaranteed to ragdoll than like individual snowballs you pick up from the ground. There's going to be some brand new like props as well for like holiday stuff, with some slippery ice surfaces. That's like one of the highlights, and a bunch of other ones, but I'm not going to be looking at that for like another minute and a half basically. Looks like there's going to be some kind of new adversary mode that's going to be festive here, involving like a Santa, elves, and then a Krampus. Krampus has to make its way over to the safe zone apparently, while the like Santa and elves here, being like Santa's little helpers here essentially, will be probably protecting the Santa. Makes a lot of sense for the two roles for these kind of. Not sure why the Krampus is the one necessarily trying to get to the safe zone, but oh well. I imagine it's going to be something pretty fun though. And yeah, you'll have to meet Vincent at the Vespucci police station for a Clock and Bell farm raid. There's going to be apparently an aggressive approach and then a stealth approach. Seems like this will be entirely separate as well from like the robberies. It's a raid more than like the robberies that you're doing for Jamal, Amir, and like Yusuf Amir pretty much. So I assume it's more of a separate thing basically. I'm gonna imagine it's gonna be more of a separate thing for sure, yes. Now I could actually see this maybe being like the 30th like career progression. They could maybe introduce some career progression stuff tied to this. I'm not sure personally. So if they do a 30th career progression thing for that CJ outfit, clearly that was shown in the drip feed that it kind of showed off earlier. I could maybe see it being tied to this, by the way. Take a little look here for trade price. Yeah, you have to complete Cluck and Bell farm raid, it looks like. So like, is this and the like Cluck and Bell version of the Benson one have the same trade price, or like is the Benson one going to be earlier on since it's not as exciting per se, or what? Not 100% sure on that, but still. I don't believe a buy it now price was really shown off on there though, unfortunately, but it's probably going to be something easier like it usually is than for a trade price, since obviously you want to be paying more. You would assume it would be an easier task. And yeah, this person will have an intro thing for 4-ball over here if people are interested in checking out outside of the video here. There's apparently going to be some brand new Yeti Hunt collectible. That's going to be part of the drip feed, of course, so you can get a Yeti outfit. The Yeti outfit thing is basically just the Bigfoot outfit that they did Halloween of last year for 2022. I was certain it definitely is, but basically a white version. Looks like there's some kind of text thing that introduces it to you as well, some radius thing there and whatnot. Apparently in the deathmatch creator, there's going to be an option for changing the damage of snowballs, whether it's in right now or that's going to be for later, maybe with like the festive times and stuff. Obviously that would probably be getting added, so you can actually increase the damage of the snowballs. Apparently maybe it would make it a lot more consistent with the grenade launcher, what the snowballs will be releasing of course later on. Here, there's things to be mentioned like manual transmissions. I'm not sure if that's like a usual kind of thing you do in like those drag races. I'm not sure if the drag races like it's the main feature with a manual transmission. That's actually how it's going to work. Says like rocks are created only, so I'm not sure the transmission will actually be manual per se. But it definitely seems like it's going to be a pretty interesting new race type. And then there's going to be a Happy Holidays hauler, which is basically going to be a truck that's going to be driving around free mode basically. that drops presents like snacks, ammo, cash. Two of the highlights will be a E-Cola festive sweater. I'm not going to click on it because I assume it's pretty obvious, and it's going to be certainly it's a Sprunk festive sweater for the second one if it's E-Cola for the first one. That would definitely be making the most sense there. But that does involve a brand new version of the Phantom. It's apparently a whole new model of the Phantom. Could have been a Phantom that actually appeared in the Grand Theft Auto 6 trailer as a possibility. Possibly, I'm thinking. There's a closer look at the two unlockable sweaters here. And then basically, that's mostly it. There was a couple things that I saw like elsewhere as well that I didn't really find on these couple accounts. I feel these free accounts was pretty much plenty to cover pretty much for the most part, but there was also a couple like camos, like liveries basically for the guns. There was one for like the combat pistol, the special carbine not Mark II, but the Mark 1 special carbine, and the Mark 1 heavy sniper, I believe it was. All three of those apparently will be getting some kind of like festive, like winter kind of livery. The two most useless ones for sure are going to be the Mark 1 versions of like the special carbine and the heavy sniper. Why would you use a Mark 1 over a Mark 2 on those? But at least the combat pistol one should be hopefully useful for sure. So the combat pistol could be a lot more interesting to use if I knew like livery on it. It seems essentially trying to think of anything else possibly that might have not been covered on these like couple accounts and any of the other like side accounts like Test 2 that I went over, for example, like Class Q and whatnot, but I do not believe so. Now, last but not least, I might be featuring like vehicle customizations in like the description as well, but those obviously will not be covered in the video. So possibly look forward to that in the description as well. But yes, that will definitely finally be it for this video here. Hope you enjoyed.